And it's a real honor to be here today. It's wonderful to see all these people show up and support this great event celebrating Pennsylvania labor history. I've already seen so many friends I didn't expect to see. But yeah, thanks so much for coming, and I'm glad I can share some songs with you. Traveling down this cold town road, listen to my rubber tires whine. Goodbye to Buckeye, white sycamore, I'm leaving you behind. And I've been a coal miner all my life, laying down track in the hole. Got a back like an ironwood, warped by the wind, and blood veins as blue as a coal. Blood veins as blue as a coal. Somebody said, that's a strange tattoo you have on the side of your head. I said, that's the blueprint left by the cold. A little more and I'd be dead. But I love the rumble, and I love the dark, and I love the cool of the slate. But this traveling around looking for a job, it's traveling and looking I hate. Traveling and looking I hate. I stood in line for the union, and I fought against the company. I stood for the UMWA. Now who's gonna stand by me? 'Cause I got no job and I got no pay. Hey, I just got a weary soul, and this blue tattoo on the side of my face, left by the number 9 coal, left by the number 9 coal. Someday, when I'm dead and gone to heaven, the land of my dreams, I won't have to worry on losing my job to hard times and big machines. And I ain't gonna pay my money away on dues and hospital plans. I'm gonna pick coal where the blue heavens roll, and I'll sing with an angel band. I'll sing with an angel band. Thank you very much. Billy Ed Wheeler song. I'm going to play a song that it was on a record that I put out in 2007 called The Unbroken Circle, Songs of the West Virginia Coal Fields. This particular song, though, was inspired by the writings of Stephen Crane, who visited the anthracite mines in Pennsylvania and wrote about the Breaker Boys. Back then, in the breaker, the coal process, when they processed it, it was all done by hand at the hands of children, but there were always a few old men sitting next to those children. We talk about old coal miners 100 years ago. You're talking about men 15 years younger than I am now. In their early 40s, their bodies were so racked from this industry. So if you could go back 100 years and peek into the screen room of the breaker and see one of these young boys sitting next to one of these old coal miners, old before his time, it would kind of be like looking at a snapshot of the normal life cycle at that time of the American coal miner. Well, I work in the breaker and I'm just 9. Told them I was 12, no one asked if I was lying. Picking rock till my nails worn down to the quick. I get 65 cents for a 10-hour shift. Sitting in the screen room digging for slate. It's hot when it's summer, and it's cold when it ain't. And I look down from the mountain down to the tracks. Like a snake long and black. 2 tall spires through the low-hanging clouds. It's all I can see of my dirty, cold town. In a few more years, I'll work the door. Then I'll walk that mine a mile or more. Pick, shovel, lamp, sledge, dynamite, drill. 5 blasts a day, empty cars to fill. 45 years, 45 gone. It's back to the breaker, if I live that long. And I look down from the mountain down to the tracks. Coal train crawls like a snake long and black. 2 tall spires through the low-hanging clouds. It's all I can see of my dirty, cold town. Thank you. In this great labor history that we have, particularly the mining industry, we have a long history of children working in the mines. But I also try to write songs to celebrate the women in the labor movement, and particularly in the mines. And the folks at the Battle of Homestead Foundation, particularly my friend Rosemary Trump, asked me several years back to perform at a commemoration for the 100-year anniversary of the assassination of Fanny Sellens, who was a great organizer and a great caregiver, and she was shot by gun thugs, and her murder spurred, it was the catalyst, or at least helped to galvanize, I should say, the great steel strike of 1919. So when Rosemary asked me to play, I thought, well, if I'm going to play a benefit for Fanny Sellens, I'm going to write a song about Fanny Sellens. From Pueblo, Colorado, Chicago, Illinois, and Wheeling, West Virginia, Lackawanna, Johnstown, PA, Cleveland, and Youngstown, Ohio. The steel strike of 19, a month before set. By September, it was strong, it was sound. And her blood-soaked picture in their union halls. Fanny Sellens, dead on the ground. Gave food to the starving, clothes to the babes, brought children into this hard world of labor and capital, poisoned by greed, seeking only to comfort the many. But the Steel Trust gunmen fired on the line as the miners' children she gathered round. Blood-soaked picture in their union halls. Fanny Sellens, dead on the ground. An angel of mercy, a guardian dear, a battle for freedom and love committed her here, committed her here. The day, forget not the fight, forget not the martyr who's fallen, forget not the Union, the AFL, or the UMWA. Forget not the bosses, the company thugs, or the reasons they gunned Fanny down. Her blood-soaked picture in your union hall. Fanny Sellens, dead on the ground. Thank you. And of course, one of my favorite historical figures in American history was perhaps our greatest organizer, Mother Mary Jones, who called the miners her boys. I think Paint Creek is in Kanawha County. It's just south of the, it may not be, but it's just south of the state capital of Charleston. There, the miners went on strike, and they remained on strike. I believe it began in 1911, I think. But anyway, they stayed on strike for 15 months, sustaining themselves only with the help of the Union, who fed them, who gave them rifles to protect themselves from the sniper fire that they were enduring and the acts of harassment, and with the moral support of Mother Jones, who lived in those tents with them. You know, she never preached anything that she wouldn't do herself. And, you know, of course, Mother Jones' most famous quote is, "Pray for the dead, but fight like hell for the living." But my favorite Mother Jones quote is, "When I die, I shall tell God about West Virginia." Because the conditions were so deplorable there, and the opposition so fierce. The opposition reached ahead in Holly Grove campground, or the camping site there, the miners who were living in tents on Paint Creek, when the co-operator, some of his men, of course the sheriff and deputy were involved as well, and they bore holes in the side of a boxcar for their rifles and for a machine gun, and just opened fire, steamed through the camp in the middle of the night and opened fire on the striking miners and their families after they had been disarmed by the National Guard. And only 2 casualties, much to the dismay of the deputy sheriff, who was put on trial for this. Nobody was convicted, but they were prosecuted. But the deputy sheriff sat on the witness stand and admitted to saying, "Let's go back and give those boys another round," unhappy that they didn't inflict more casualties. And of course, in 1912, Teddy Roosevelt was running on a third-party ticket, the Bull Moose Party. So the co-operators and the co-operator and the sheriff and their men, they thought it would be clever to name their train. They called it the Bull Moose Special. Old Mother Jones with her snow-white hair, lightning in her fiery blue eyes. A miner's angel, she come clear across the sea to help us to organize. She was cussing and swearing, but harsh words alone couldn't break that company's hold. So they sent us our guns in 1912 when the Union started to fold. We camped in that holler on the banks of Paint Creek, all through the 15th month strike. We fought for our wages, we fought for our lives, a river between wrong and right. Then old Governor Will declared martial law. He sent his troops down here to disarm. So out of cold dead hands, our rifles they fell at the feet of our National Guard. And then the Bull Moose Special on hot rails to hell. Through the cold night she come rolling down. Beside a co-operator, the sheriff's men opened fire. Let's give those boys another round. She came quiet and fast. She was shiny and black, one side poured out with holes. And out of the darkness She steamed through our camp, her boiler burning our coal. Bull moose special on hot rails to hell. Through the cold night she come rolling down. Beside a coal operator, the sheriff's men open fire. Let's give those boys another round. Let's give those boys another round. Thank you very much. Maybe I'll change directions here a little bit to more recent history. I began writing songs specifically for the United Mine Workers in 2012 when they were in the midst of their Fairness at Patriot campaign. The quick rundown of what that situation was: we had 18,000 union coal miners who had been employed by Peabody Coal and Arch Coal to some extent, mostly Peabody. Peabody created another company, and they made it look as if it was a third-party buyout. A third party had come in and bought their mines, but it was all done behind their boardroom doors. And they created this new company called Patriot Coal, and the first thing they did was they took 18,000 retirees and lumped them into the new company. Now, I'm a folk singer, so I don't know the first thing about business, but I know that if I'm going to start a business, I don't want to start it with 18,000 people who can no longer work. And so that was the first big red flag. Of course, you know, Peabody or Patriot did show a profit for a few years, and then in 2011 or 2012 thereabouts, Patriot Coal did exactly what it was created and designed to do, to go bankrupt, thereby robbing those 18,000 of their pensions and their health care, most importantly their health care. So anyway, I was asked to perform in St. Louis in the shadow of the Peabody building at my first rally, and I went out there with somewhat, selfish or self-centered motives. I'm going to be going out. I knew it was a good cause, obviously, but I thought, how cool is this? I'm going to be with 3,000 coal miners and their families in downtown St. Louis in the shadow of the Peabody building. And all of that went out the window when the buses started to arrive, and I saw these retirees and their families who had spent sometimes up to 15 hours on those buses to get there with their oxygen tanks and their walkers. And their cause seeped into my soul right then and there. And I went home mad as hell, and this was the first song that I wrote for the campaign specifically. Did you work in the mine since you were young and strong? Did you work for that company your whole life long? Did you give them all the best years you had to live to provide for your family, or what they promised they'd give? Are you asking for something that you haven't earned? If you ain't with the union, then buddy, you haven't learned. 'Cause years come and go, but the story's the same. A good man's forgotten, and greed is to blame. Promises made, promises broken, but we'll be there where they run, we'll be there when they hide. A promise was made, and this union has spoken. stand true. One man alone, there's not a lot he can do. So in the union we stand, and in the union we're strong. With the union I'll stay, 'cause I know right from wrong. Promises made, promises broken, but we'll be there where they run, we'll be there when they hide. A promise was made, and the union has spoken. Peabody promised, Peabody lied. Peabody promised, Peabody lied. Thank you. Still seeing more friends of, or more faces of friends here. It's good to see everybody. Those 18,000, they have their health care today and their pensions, thanks to the ongoing efforts of the union. That particular campaign ended in a settlement of $490 million that Peabody gave to the union to continue the health care of the 18,000 until the Keep the Promise campaign was successful in 2019 of getting the federal government to guarantee and live up to the promise made in 1946. I think Charlie might be able to help me. I think it was the Krug-Lewis Act, I believe. And they have their health care and their pensions today because of that. So after the settlement with Peabody, they asked me to write what would become my favorite song to write for the campaign because it was a victory song. From West Virginia and Kentucky, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Indiana, Tennessee, we gathered by that great riverside. We stood in solidarity. And beyond the shadow of a corporate building with its steel and shining glass, we found an open sky over this land of the free and a dream within our grasp. Just working class heroes who came to remind them it's we who pay the freight. We bear the hard times, we shoulder the strain, and we're charged by the weight. But wherever two or three have gathered in his name, that's where justice will be. And so it is. We sought a higher court. We received an answer to our plea. So here's to every hard-working soul and the promise that brought us here. I believe justice would carry the day one day. Now it's here. I still believe it's true. We might all have to live to fight another day. And if so, we'll find strength, power, and justice in the UMWA. With its brothers and its sisters, who together in the unions, they'll forever stand till each struggle is won and there's justice for the worker in every land. So here's to every hard-working soul and the promise that brought us here. I believe justice would carry the day one day. Now it's here. So here's to every hard-working soul and the promise that brought us here. Hey, I believe justice would carry the day one day. Now it's here. Thank you very much. You can correct me on time if I need to. I think maybe two more songs. That'd be good. Coal miners of West Virginia who played such a large part in the labor movement in the early 20th century, and of course West Virginia.
Have him wave his hand.
Lou, wave your hand. There's Lou. He's got his Mine Wars Museum shirt on, and they had a campaign called Courage in the Hollers that resulted in a monument to the miners who participated in the largest labor uprising in American history, the Battle of Blair Mountain. To have a living, standing monument there is two of them actually, where the miners set out and close to where the front lines were at the base of Blair Mountain, one in Marmette, one in Clothier, West Virginia. But to have a monument there is quite an amazing feat, considering that I was educated in the state of West Virginia for 16 years and knew nothing about the Battle of Blair Mountain until I was in my 30s. It's a history that's been suppressed. If you find any of my old West Virginia history books, you can just open the cover and right on the first page it'll say published by Arch Cole. So yeah, congratulations to them, and one of my greatest honors was to be able to share this song at the unveiling of the monument in Clothier. I am a union miner, and I'll work all night and day. I am a union miner, and I'll mine your coal for a union wage. In 17, I left my home for this country's flag. I fought the war. By 21 in my hometown, hey, I weren't welcome in the Legion Hall no more, because I am a union miner, and I'll mine your coal for a union wage. For that wage, I'll lay my life when I march down from Marmette, armed with my Colt and Winchester, a red bandana tied about my neck. I am miner, and I'll mine your coal for a union wage. 10,000 strong, I'll make my stand. My union brothers, all there with me. We ain't coming home till Sheriff Chafin is hanging from a sour apple tree. I am a union miner, and I'll work all night and day. I am a union miner, I'll mine your coal for union wage. I'll mine your coal for union wage. Own songs with you, and I'd like to share, maybe we could sing along together if you'd like. Share a song by my favorite American musician and artist, Woody Guthrie. It's just kind of a fun song. It also has my favorite Woody Guthrie verse of all time in it. And some of you may remember another recording of this, but this was Woody's original. I've sung this song, but I'll sing it again. Of the place that I lived on the wild windy plains, in the month called April, county called Gray. Here's what all of the people there say: so long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dust is getting my home, and I've got to be drifting along. So if your version was different, that's the original. This dusty old dust is getting my home. Well, the dust storm hit. Yeah, it hit like thunder. It dusted us over, and it covered us under. It blocked out the traffic, it blocked out the sun, and straight for home all the people did run, singing so long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dust is getting my home, and I've got to be drifting along. Well, sweethearts sat in the dark and they sparked. They hugged and they kissed in that dusty old dark. They sighed, they cried, they hugged and they kissed. But instead of marriage, they spoke just like this: honey, so long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dust is getting my home, and I've got to be drifting along. Well, the telephone rang. Yeah, it rang off the wall. And that was the preacher. He was making his call. He said, kind friend, this might be the end, but you've got your last chance at salvation from sin. And here's my favorite verse. Well, the churches was jammed, and the churches was packed, and that dusty old dust storm would blow so black, the preacher could not read a word of his text, so he folded his specs, took up a collection, said, so long, it's been good to know you, so long, it's been good to know you, so long, it's been good to know you, this dusty old dust is getting my home, and I've gotta be drifting along. One more time, nice and loud. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. So long, it's been good to know you. This dusty old dust is getting my home, and I've gotta be drifting along.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks. Have a wonderful day. And thank you to all of you who put this together and keep the labor history of this country alive. Thanks.